and it puts it beside the net. It's centered out in front. Semenko scores! Semenko may have champion Winnipeg Jets.
Given it deflected wide, and now somebody's holding the back of his head.
You know, being with Dave and playing with Dave, and you know, there wasn't a fight he didn't win.
As Koff alluded to, those greats couldn't have done without the support and aid of Dave Semenko, and I say that with the greatest deal of sincerity, because what he provided on the ice, the message he delivered to the opposition.
I didn't see him lose. I don't think I saw him lose any fights. I mean, there was some tough guys back then, and he wasn't backing down. And
do you know which hockey player in history once stepped into a boxing ring and made Muhammad Ali stumble? And do you know which hockey player made Bob Probert say out loud, "Semenko's strong like a bull"? Welcome to the stories of Dave Semenko. From the legendary bout that knocked Joey Kocur to the ice, to the battles against Bob Probert, the man known as the King of the Enforcers, Kevin Lowe, former captain of the Edmonton Oilers, said it best. The greatest players of all time have their numbers hanging from the rafters of Rogers Place, but they could not have done it without Dave Semenko. In the NHL of the 1980s, few names carried as much menace as Chris Nealon. The Montreal Canadiens enforcer held the league record for penalty minutes and fought with relentless, hammering aggression. His nickname said everything, Knuckles. But when Nealon faced Dave Semenko, something different happened. Semenko absorbed the punishment without flinching. No change in expression, no sign of pain. He used his raw physical strength to lock Nealon down, weathering the storm of punches before returning his own slower, fewer, but devastating. Every blow Semenko landed made Nealon recalculate whether continuing was worth the cost. This was the terrifying thing about Semenko. He did not need to win on volume, he won on consequence. Nealon himself admitted it years later on his podcast. With Semenko, the price you paid was sometimes too high. You could hit him, but was it worth what happened after? The answer was usually no. On April 17, 1983, in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers met their fiercest regional rival, the Calgary Flames. It was the kind of game where every shift felt like a war. And at the center of that war stood two of the most dangerous enforcers of the decade, Dave Semenko and Tim Hunter. Hunter was no ordinary fighter. He was technical, disciplined, and experienced. That night, he pulled out a move that almost no one had an answer for: the crossover grip. By using his right hand to lock down Semenko's dominant right arm, Hunter neutralized Semenko's most powerful weapon and repeatedly landed left-handed punches directly to his face. For a moment, Semenko was in serious trouble. It was one of the very few times in his career that an opponent had genuinely outmaneuvered him. But Semenko refused to quit. He absorbed every punch and kept pushing forward. Tim Hunter reflected on it in 2017. Dave policed the rink by the fear of violence. He played for survival. I knew from that moment I always had to be ready. This guy would do anything to send a message. Ryan Smith, a former Oilers teammate, added, "Dave was the truest example of a protector and a teammate. A great man will always be remembered." If there was one man in the NHL who made other enforcers genuinely nervous, it was Joey Kocur of the Detroit Red Wings. His right hand was widely considered the most dangerous in the league, capable of cracking helmets and ending fights with a single shot. Players did not just lose to Kocur, they got destroyed. On February 11, 1986, Dave Semenko met him on the ice. Semenko showed no hesitation, no adjustment in his posture, no sign that the reputation of the man across from him meant anything at all. When the fight broke out, Semenko landed one punch, precise, heavy, and final. Kocur went down immediately. The arena went silent. Joey Kocur spoke about it years later. Semenko was beyond anything I had ever seen. Most of the time, he just looked at you with those wild eyes, and nobody dared try. One teammate said, "When we saw Joe Kocur lying there, we knew that as long as Dave was on the ice, we were untouchable." After everything you have just seen, what do you think about him? Like the video and subscribe to support the channel. Stay with us, there is a surprising story still to come. On June 12, 1983, in Edmonton, Dave Semenko did something no hockey player had ever done before or since. He stepped into a boxing ring against Muhammad Ali, the most celebrated fighter in the history of the sport. This was not a casual appearance. Semenko prepared seriously. He hired Rocky Addison, the reigning middleweight boxing champion of Manitoba, to train him in the weeks leading up to the bout. Before the fight, Ali visited the Edmonton Oilers locker room. He asked Semenko to throw a punch so he could assess what he was dealing with. Ali looked it over and simply said, "It'll be fine. We'll make it look good." 3 rounds followed. The event was designed as an exhibition for charity, with both men understanding the spirit of the occasion. But midway through, something unscripted happened. Semenko, moving out of pure hockey instinct, threw a punch he could not pull back in time. It landed on Ali's face. The crowd held its breath. Ali responded immediately with 4 lightning-fast warning shots that stopped just short of Semenko's face, a reminder, delivered with absolute precision, of exactly who he was dealing with. Ali later composed one of his trademark poems. Ali came to meet Semenko, but Semenko started to retreat. If Semenko backed up 1 more inch, he would have landed in a ringside seat. Semenko recalled it honestly. "He moved in and I couldn't stop the punch. Those 4 shots back told me don't play games with the champ." The story spread far beyond hockey. The entire world now knew the name Dave Semenko. By the fall of 1987, Bob Probert of the Detroit Red Wings had become the most feared enforcer in the NHL. Young, powerful, and relentless, he was being called the king of the enforcers. A collision with Dave Semenko was inevitable. On October 17, 1987, it happened. Semenko came in hard from behind and overwhelmed Probert in a dominant display, as the Toronto Maple Leafs won the game 7-4. But the Detroit camp was not satisfied. Probert and his coaching staff called it a sneak attack. Probert made his position clear. He wanted a rematch, face-to-face, on equal terms. He got it on January 29, 1988. This time, Probert was ready. The rematch was brutal and unforgiving. Probert, at the absolute peak of his physical prime, took the decision. Semenko, nearing the end of his career, knew he was no longer the man he once was, but he never stepped back. He accepted the challenge against the strongest enforcer in the league and stood his ground until the final moment. What Probert said afterward revealed everything about the kind of opponent Semenko truly was. Semenko is not the kind of guy who hits you 20 times in a row, but he is incredibly strong like a bull. Once he grabs your jersey and locks you down with that axe of an arm, you feel like a stone wall is collapsing on top of you. Coming from the king of the enforcers himself, that was not an insult. That was a crown. After the 1983 NHL All-Star Game, Wayne Gretzky was named the most valuable player. His prize was a brand new Pontiac 6000. Moments after accepting the keys, he handed them directly to Dave Semenko. Not privately, not quietly, in front of everyone. It was one of the most honest gestures in the history of professional hockey. Gretzky was not being generous for the cameras. He was acknowledging a truth that every person in that building already understood. Without Semenko standing behind him, the points, the records, and the trophies would not have been possible. Semenko had spent years sacrificing personal statistics, absorbing penalties, and placing himself between Gretzky and every opponent who thought about crossing a line. He operated in the shadows so that number 99 could operate in the light. Gretzky said in 2017, "He was the toughest player I ever knew, and also my closest friend. People forget that Dave could actually play hockey. He did not just fight. He made us better by making us feel safe." Paul Coffey, the Hall of Fame defenseman, put it plainly. Without Dave, the Edmonton Oilers could never have survived against the brutal teams like the Philadelphia Flyers or the New York Islanders. Dave Semenko passed away in June of 2017 after a short battle with pancreatic and liver cancer. He was 59 years old. He never led the league in scoring. He never won an individual award. But Wayne Gretzky became one of the greatest players who ever lived, in part because Dave Semenko made sure no one could stop him. Mark Messier said, "He was our big brother. When Dave spoke, every word carried more weight than anyone else in that locker room." Who do you think is the most feared enforcer in NHL history? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support our channel.